Hello, my name is Lindsay Handy, and this is my personal introduction for building finance. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Miami Beach, Florida, and I've lived in Florida, in Bogota, Colombia, as well as Kansas City, and Denver, which is where I currently live with my husband and our two boys. Blake is my oldest son, he's 19 months old, and Liam is my youngest, and he's 5 months old. He was born just in August when most of us were enrolled in another semester, and some of you may remember that was a little hectic for me, but we got through it, and we're just trucking along. As far as my hobby, really anything that involves my boys is something I like to do. As far as my education, I went to Emporia State University for my undergrad, where I got my bachelor's in elementary education. That was in 2016, and I'm currently getting my master's through Fort Hays State University, like many of us, and I'm expected to graduate this May. In regards to my work life, I'm currently in my 4th year of teaching. My first year I taught in Turner School District in KCK for 1 year, and I've currently been at Smith for the last 3 years as a first grade teacher each year. Smith is a Title I school, so we serve kiddos of very low SES, and they've usually dealt with quite a bit of trauma or are currently dealing with trauma, and they have quite a bit of social emotional needs as well. After looking through those resources, there were so many things I learned, but to pull out 10, the first one was in regards to site or school-based management, so SBM. And the quote was, SBM is a system by which some level of autonomy is given to site leaders in the budgeting process. And this explains a model in which more decision-making power rests in the hands of school-based leaders, which I think is huge because, the school-based leaders are actually in it with the kids, living it every day, and they know a lot more about the school, the students, and the staff to be able to make these decisions. And this is going to be kind of something that I'm continuously saying throughout this presentation because that's ultimately what it rests in. The second one was in regards to the need for consistency. So they said that it was highly important, especially in highly mobile districts, that the educational experience and pacing is consistent from school to school. Textbooks could be an example where it makes more sense for the central office to determine which curriculum should be adopted for the entirety of the district. I actually found this very interesting, but I don't necessarily agree because I think that it's important for us to be consistent as far as like standards, but I don't think that central personnel should decide which texts best suit the needs of our kids because the kids that we serve across a district are so different. We need to be culturally responsive in what we include in these texts. And if we're just plain Jane sending the same text across the whole district, I don't feel like that's really authentic for the kids. The next one was in regards to building tools and capacity. As districts are contemplating granting decision-making authority to schools on certain resources, it's important to understand that the principal takes on more business-like roles, managing people, process, and funding. That is likely not their primary area of expertise. I found this a little interesting as well. I think that understanding budget needs to be a more critical component of becoming a principal because regardless of decision making in regards to the budget, if it's coming from the principal or not, I think having a business-like mindset is pretty important to running a school efficiently because you need to understand where the funding is going and why. So I think that we definitely need to make that something that's more important for principals to know. The fourth one's in regard to lacking financial literacy. And the quote said that there was a recent study showing that a worrying amount of principals and administrators lacked financial literacy and basic knowledge of bookkeeping. And that kind of relates to the last one where I think that principals really should have a better understanding because the fact that a principal feels underprepared, yet they're being expected to take on a lot more of the bookkeeping and really the budgeting things, that can be a little scary. The fifth new learning that I found was in regards to accounting and financial reporting. And the quote was, accounting and financial reporting is at the crux of a school's financial and academic success. Any mistake in those areas has the potential to have detrimental effect on the school and its students. I really never thought about accounting and financial reporting being directly related to a school's academic success. So this kind of brought a whole new light and a whole new level of accountability when it comes to the finances of a school. The next one was in regards to responsibility. The management and administrative responsibilities have multiplied with the rise of technology, new legislation requirements, and the pressures of the economy. I mean, this is a really hard reality for people in admin that maybe don't enjoy that type of responsibility, or really don't have experience in it, or have been in it for so long that back in the day when those responsibilities weren't put on them, before technology was at our fingertips. But because we have, technology and all these things that we didn't have in the past, we have more responsibilities to take care of those things. And so as this changes, we just have to change with it. The seventh thing that I decided to write about was about principals know best. It's time for state legislators and school district officials to recognize that principals know what's best for our students. I just really couldn't agree with this statement more. I think teachers also, know best, being a teacher currently and knowing my kids, but I think that principals are way more equipped with deciding where funds should be spent, because they are the ones who are actually in it with the students day in, day out, listening to the staff, listening to the teachers say where we need more funding, where we need more support. And so I think that's really just something that really resonated with me. The eighth one was, as a result, state legislators and district officials have substantial control over how education dollars are allocated and who gets to have a say over spending decisions. This is really sad, but it's the truth. And the fact that the people that have zero contact with our students nor understand their needs are the ones who are controlling our dollars is appalling. The ninth one I called one size fits all. Not. Because instead of giving principals actual dollars to spend, most districts allocate staffing positions and other resources based on a one-size-fits-all model. If we learn anything in education, it's that one size does not fit anything. Just because a school has, for example, X number of kids does not mean that they need X, Y, Z. Principals know that know their kids and know the staffing needs, so I think that they should have primary jurisdiction over what the budget is spent on. And the last one, go Denver. Major districts and urban cities, including Boston, Denver, and Indianapolis, are adopting weighted student funding systems that allocate education dollars directly to the school based on student needs. So I currently live and teach in Denver, and we have this funding system. And our principal, while many things are chosen at the district level, she does have say about where dollars are spent. So, for example, they'll say you have this percentage of Title I kids, you get this per dollar amount to spend for each kid, plus you get this dollar amount because they're, ELL, and you get this dollar amount because they are on a free and reduced lunch. And we think that based on your building population, you should spend this amount of money in mental health, this amount of money, in teacher support, or whatever the case may be. So I really like that because it gives the principal the flexibility of what exactly we need in our building in that department per se. And for principal has done versus has not, our principal's really transparent. She's talked to staff about budgets for next year. She's discussed potential cuts and adds. She's discussed the money that we currently receive as well as grants that we're no longer getting. We've had meetings to discuss with parents and staff how budgets are done and balance the budget. And we've discussed our title funds and where they've been spent. I can't really think of anything she hasn't done. Really, she's super transparent about budgeting and funding, and any questions that we have, she answers, as well as parents. As far as concerns, who doesn't have concerns when it comes to budgeting or being in charge of something so huge as a school's billion-dollar budget? So yes, it's a huge responsibility. Also, a concern I have is dealing with parents and people that don't understand budgeting. My particular school, we have parents that are very interested in reworking the budget and knowing where every dollar spends, yet they don't have an understanding of what the school spends per teacher and why we spend it here and what we actually currently have. So just having a lot of accusations, but not really having a lot of understanding behind it. are something that my principal currently deals with, and so I've had a lot of opportunities to experience that. So it's a little something I'm concerned about. Of course, being organized, and another flaw that I have is asking for help when I need it. So I think that, as a new building leader, eventually, I need to know that if I need any help in regards to accounting, budgeting, things like that, to definitely reach out. Thank you.